Hello, listeners!
Salaam alaikum, bonjour, and hola to a brand new show of GTSR, Grow to Succeed Radio, your favorite radio. This is Shriviha from Earth House.
Go green! Go green! And this is Saisha. And listeners, I have a question for you. Why don't you ever iron a four-leaved clover?
Why? I don't know. But I'm sure you have an insane answer to this.
Well, because it might press your luck. Get it, people?
Alright, enough with the jokes, Sasha. Speaking of green, I am incredibly proud of my new yield.
Yield? That's a fancy word. What? Do you have a whole farming land to grow crops?
Well, I don't have a farming land, but I've got into gardening as a hobby. And I managed to grow jasmine flowers. The smell and aroma of jasmine flowers can be as fresh as sunrise. Well, no perfume can be matched up to this natural scent of jasmine. And if you ask me, in my opinion, although gardening takes a lot of effort and determination, but in the end, it is worth it. I have seen as well known a few people who have helped this planet to become a better place to live.
That's wonderful. I love jasmine flowers. They smell so great. That's right, folks. Today we will be diving into the amazing world of gardening. We will be right back with Miss
Manali.
Stay tuned, guys. We will be right back.
Thank you for being with us here, Mrs. Manali. I've seen your Instagram page and was absolutely mesmerized. And we have decided to nickname you the Green Lady.
Thank you so much, Sriviha, for giving me this opportunity to come and talk with you guys.
My pleasure. Can you tell our listeners what you do, Miss Manali?
Yes, I would love to. Basically, I'm a sustainability enthusiast. I do free workshops on composting and creating awareness as to how we can lead more sustainable, more conscious lifestyles here in the UAE. It can be a kindergarten or a school who has invited me if they want to set up their vegetable garden, or it can be a corporate who are looking to be more eco-friendly and become more conscious, reduce their waste. It can be a community who have backyards and they want to grow their own vegetables the organic way. So yeah, always up for creating more awareness, like how I have been invited here today by you guys. So looking forward to answering your questions. Thank you.
That's an amazing thing to do, Miss Manali. And what inspired you to become an eco-warrior? And what age did you start?
What inspired me is that one fine day I just decided that I should start segregating my waste, because the kind of plastics that we use on a day-to-day basis, and 1 week into this process and I was completely sold. I was so shocked when I saw the kind of waste that we were producing, as a family of just 4. And it really hit me that imagine how much one building must be producing, or how much a community is producing. And that's how I started. I started very late, because when we were growing up, we didn't have so much plastic around around us. And back in India, we had the concept of scrap, where you collect your scrap and then you sell it and it gets recycled. So when I came here to UAE, I started looking for recycling centers, and once I started doing that, I wanted to spread the word so that more and more families, more and more people come on board and become more eco-friendly and have a conscious lifestyle.
Yeah, that's such an inspiring experience. And what is composting? Waste food materials. And can it be smelly?
So composting is basically nothing. It is just turning your food waste to a natural fertilizer, which can be used to grow plants and vegetables in a organic way, in a natural way, without using any chemical fertilizers or pesticides. If you choose a correct, there are many ways of composting. If you choose one way of composting and you do it properly, where you balance the carbon and the nitrogen ratio, then your compost will never smell. Now, what is carbon and nitrogen? Carbon is your dried leaves or brown paper bags, which are biodegradable, and your nitrogen is your kitchen waste, like your eggshells, your fruit vegetable peels, your tea leaves. So if you always stick to one method of composting and balance the carbon and nitrogen, then there will never be any smell, and at the end of the process you'll get black gold or your compost, which will be super nutritious for your plants and your vegetables and your flowers.
That is such an useful product. I am super convinced now. And I don't have a backyard. It's hard to convince my parents to start composting. Will we not have many flies at home?
There are a lot of myths, around composting, that it's going to smell and it's going to attract flies. So again, if you balance your carbon and nitrogen material, and if you follow the composting process properly, you will never attract any flies. Flies usually get attracted when the water content is more. So that's why we add our carbons, our leaves and our brown paper bags, so that the compost is not too wet. And when the compost is not too wet, it will not attract flies at all. So even if you don't have a backyard, you can very easily use the gobble composting method, and you can do it in your balconies. If you even don't have a balcony, you can always use the bokashi system of composting, and you can do it and keep a bucket under your sink, and it is done in a method where it's in a closed airtight bucket, so nothing smells, there'll be no flies, no rodents, and everybody who wants to can definitely compost.
That is so clever. How do you think we can make the best use of the situation? How can we help our environment?
I think as students, you all can make little changes towards the environment, like giving up a straw, or carrying your own steel straw with you. You can carry your own spoon and fork with you, so you don't use any disposables. It's not a lot of weight. You can carry it in your bag. You can carry your own water bottle with you, so you don't buy single-use plastic water bottles, or packaged water as it's called more commonly. So these are little steps which you can take. Something like, since you guys are students, not buying a lot of colors and stationery which you might not need or use. So always try to put your need before your wants, because I'm sure every few months there will be a new movie, a new theme, and we want to go and get a lot of funky stuff, but it's not good for our environment to be so wasteful. So as students, I would really implore all of you to be more mindful of what we are consuming and what sort of a carbon footprint we have, and try to reduce our waste.
Yeah, I completely agree. And we'll definitely take those tips. Finally, Mrs. Manali, do you have any special messages for our listeners?
I think lastly, the special message that I would like to give all of you is that always remember the 5 R's of sustainability. That is refuse, reduce, reuse, recycle, and rot. By rot, we mean composting and refusing plastic, to reuse what we already have, to switch to reusables, and not use single-use plastics. And the most important is that if you see in these 5 R's of sustainability, recycle is at 4th. because again, to recycle any resource, whether it be aluminium or glass, you further require so many resources like transport, where we use fuel, energy is used to recycle these materials. So always remember that recycle is at for a reason, because we use so many energies to recycle. So always try to refuse, reduce, reuse, and only then recycle. Always make recycle your last resort. And last but not the least, food waste is one waste which every human being creates. So be responsible, and compost, so that we don't send our food waste to the landfill, which is equally harmful, because it gives out greenhouse gases, which is in turn creating global warming and climate change, which is the worst thing that is happening right now, which we're facing right now. And if we compost, we can really help the ozone layer and the climate change. So each one of us can do our bit, and I hope that you guys will take these things into consideration and make the necessary changes. Thank you so much.
It's been a great time spent talking to you, Mrs. Manali. Thanks for being with us here. We shall remember all the 5 R's. So guys, will you remember too? And don't forget to visit Miss Manali's Instagram page at Reproduction Reiki Recycling for further information on gardening.
Welcome back, listeners. You are listening to GTSR. Here is a glimpse. Rightly said, you don't have to be a gardening enthusiast to grow plants and trees or composites. It is the duty of every citizen to grow more plants, reuse, recycle, and composites.
I totally agree with you, Saisha. Let's watch this following clip.
Hi everyone, today I'll quickly take you through the 2 methods of composting, that is aerobic and anaerobic. In aerobic style of composting, we use oxygen, and in anaerobic, we do not use any oxygen. So for composting, the main 2 components are the browns and the greens, or the carbon and the nitrogen. What is carbon? Is dried leaves, or it can be brown paper bags like these torn up. It can be hay or sawdust, or wood shavings. So this is our carbon, and nitrogen is what our kitchen peels, tea leaves, coffee grounds. So this is our nitrogen. Now in aerobic method, what we do is we take ideally a 10 kg bucket like this, make holes on the sides and the bottom, and we keep on making layers, right, of our browns and our greens, and we toss it once a week, and in between the layers we sprinkle the ready compost or compost activator or bokashi bran. So this is basically what turns our waste into compost. So the bokashi bran or the compost activator, that is the most important thing in a compost. Now in our anaerobic, we do not make any holes, and we ferment this waste by closing the lid very tight, and we ferment it for 2 weeks. So it becomes a anaerobic style of composting, and this is a 2-stage process. So after 2 weeks, when our waste is fermented, we further put it inside the ground for it to get composted, or we mix it with 4 times the amount of leaves for it to turn into compost. So this is called the anaerobic or bokashi way of composting. There are a lot of types of composting bins available in the market, but because we're trying to reduce our plastic waste, I just reuse and repurpose these yogurt buckets from restaurants. It can be mayonnaise, pickle, jam, lot of buckets which they'll be happily ready to give it to you, or you can buy it from them and you can reuse them for your composting. So I hope this video has helped you all. Happy composting. Bye.
It is time for some expert news.
Hi GFS community, this is Nisa. Today from e-learning team, we have 9 top tips for parents during remote learning. The first tip is to sit and discuss with your children their weekly schedule and assign tasks. Then you can help them by setting weekly goals for your children. And you can organize a learning environment for motivation and encouragement. Ask your children to share your ideas and then challenge them and give them feedback. Participate in your children's studies and motivate them. Engage your children in topics that they are interested in to personalize their learning. Allow breaks between learning hours. Guarantee fun and play all the time. Assist your children in building their strengths and evaluate their progress in encouraging ways. Provide for their social and emotional needs.
This week's Expo fact is that more than 130 buildings at the site will be connected via Internet of Things or IoT, making Expo 2020 Dubai a blueprint for future smart cities. The infrastructure can be monitored and controlled in real time on a smartphone.
Welcome back, listeners. You are listening to GTSR. It is now time for the most awaited part of the show, the weekly house points.
In fourth place, we have Earth House! Wait, Earth House? Come on, Earth House, we can do way better than this. And make sure to remember, go green! Go green! And now, moving on to third place, we have Air House! Well done, Air House! And now, the place that is the tiebreaker and will determine the winner of this weekly house points. And it is... Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. It is Firehouse, and that means Waterhouse is for the lead. Congratulations, Waterhouse, for being this week's house point winner. So guys, this week's weekly challenge is to create a board game made out of recyclable materials. And make sure to make it as creative as possible. The most creative one will be the winner. And make sure to upload a video or a photo of your creative ideas into the Padlet link, which will be posted on our Insta page or at Teams. And most importantly, the winners of this competition will win 10 house points each. So in conclusion, people, we would say that all those people that love greenery would always say one thing, and that is, just living is not enough. One must seek sunshine, freedom, and a little flower.
Which shows that just living life is not being at its fullest, but adding that little bit of greenery really lights up our day. Just talking about greenery and saving this planet has made my day wonderful. And we'll see you in the next coming up week. Meanwhile, be the reason for our earth to be reborn. Adios.